Buenos dias, amigos. Look at this handsome crew today. Myself, well, nobody else. But still, it's wonderful to see both of you. I know DC was clamoring for my attention earlier in the week, so I'm happy I could give that to him. JT, I'd say it's wonderful to see you. And you know what? It is wonderful to see you, USOB. How the hell have you been? I haven't seen you since the party. We haven't worked together. We're giving winners today. Apparently, we need to fly through a 5-game slate to get things going. What's up, Mr. Clean?
It's fantastic. I mean, it has been a long time since I've seen you. And while on one hand, that makes me sad, on the other hand, it makes me pretty happy because that means that, life has been more pleasant and less filled with shenanigans. But no, all kidding aside, it is good to see you. You look as happy as ever. You look sober, and I'm proud of you for that.
Well, I mean, I guess it's very early. Let me just throw up one thing here. Why is Holden on the early show? It's a wonderful question. And I'm not going to get into it, Jacob Stubbs. You're just going to have to deal with it.
That's my burner, by the way.
Yeah, that's actually DC asks. DC's been asking Big T for that for a while. DC, I'm just going to tell you right now, I heard that you actually wanted to work with me one time over the last couple of weeks. So I know that's true. That's the first thing. Second of all, what the hell is going on in baseball land? Kenta Maeda just blew up the early slate after about 5 minutes. So hopefully this will be a better one. Let's stay healthy. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. Today's a bittersweet day for me because on the one hand, I did literally call on the show yesterday that it would be Madison Bumgarner's last start in baseball. They DFA'd him after the slate, almost shipped me the $55 single entry on FanDuel, except for Brian Reynolds. Can't even get a goddamn point in Coors Field with the Pirates putting up 13 runs. So that was fun. But you know what? Now he's gone. Now Bumgarner's gone. And, the only way I can win in DFS is every 5 days, Mr. Bumgarner takes the hill, and it's just like a printing press. And he's gone. But I do have a feeling, Holden, if there was one team that was going to sign Madison Bumgarner, who would it be? I think it's the Colorado Rockies. Yes. Right? It seems like something the Rockies would do. And listen, if the Rockies sign Madison Bumgarner, I promise I'll be in Coors Field the day that he starts there.
Yeah.
Stacks up the wazoo on whoever he's facing. Literally does not matter. Yeah. So, that's my Madison Bumgarner rant. And it's Fernando Tatis Day, back from a PED suspension. DraftKings drops the ball. He's priced at $2K. And
fade him.
I don't know, based on the Discord discussion on the issue this morning, it's like we're discussing, the Donald Trump presidency or something like that. People are very, very opinionated on Fernando Tatis. Some people are absolutely convinced he's the worst GPP play of all time. Others, best play of all time. I think it's probably like most things, somewhere in the middle. But I have a crazy slate tonight. And
just fade him. He's going to be 70% old in the GPPs. Big freaking deal. How many guys are going to break a slate on a night? Seriously, guys. How many guys break a slate on the night? And we're thinking Tatis is going to do that tonight. Go play him. Go for it. For what it's worth, I will not have any Tatis. Have a good time with that.
I'm playing him. Break the tie, JT.
Oh, good. What are you doing with Tatis, JT?
Yeah, I'm making a bunch of lineups. So the thing is,
he's matching the field, the cop out, the old match the field cop out.
No, I don't think I'm doing that because I'm going to be a little bit under on the Padres. So I'll be under the field there. But it is important to note, if you're running an optimizer, you're going to get 100%. So it is probably the biggest decision point on this slate, aside from the pitching, which is pretty much not very good. But yeah, that's the first decision point, because when you run your opto, you're going to get Tatis in every lineup, and you got to make a decision.
A couple things here. I promised JT I would put his name in my phone. I got a text today. I had to read through it. Whose tone would this be? His phone number is 949-387-6544. So if you want to text JT Hayes, I just gave you his phone number. He deserved it. Why did I get suspended from RPS? Well, it's a secret. It's an absolute secret, but it was quite the suspension. Yeah, I've been gone for a couple of months now. How did brain surgery go? Not well. Not many brain cells left. Thank you very much, Bill Miner. I appreciate that. And Uncle Terrence Niehaus is in the house tonight. What's up, Uncle T? Great to see you. Let's get into the pitching here. Now, I'm going to defer to DC, JT, so you can send me a nasty, mean text if you want, but we're just going to go to him first today. Such a happy, jolly fellow. Our boy Senga's up there, 10-3 on DraftKings. Obviously, we got to talk about FanDuel, too. We got Senga. Ugh, this is gross, man. We got Rita Felcher at 5,700 for the Rockies tonight. Talk to me. Where are you going, DC?
Yeah, pitching is. I'll just be honest, just straight up off the bat. I don't like any of these pitchers. Not a single one of them am I confident in, including Kodai Senga at that 10.3K price tag. I'm seeing him. Is this true, JT, projected as the highest owned pitcher on this slate? I think that's probably true.
There's basically a cluster of three guys. You got him, Strom, and Roansy Contreras.
Okay. So, yeah, Senga, I mean, he's had some decent games so far, 2 good games, but he's had the easiest schedule of any pitcher in all of baseball. He's faced Miami twice and the Oakland A's. And, he's walked 4, 3, and 3 guys in those 3 games. Like, I know the results have been okay, but the metrics don't look great. I do think Senga definitely has the highest upside on this slate. I personally don't really think that's up for debate. So, listen, we're playing GPPs. We're obviously chasing upside, but he's also the highest owned. He's also the most expensive. And I personally think a lot of the big bats on this slate, outside of Tatis, obviously, are pretty expensive. And I do want to pay up for, we got the Dodgers and the Cubs in a Wrigley win game. We've got the Phillies, I think, are an awesome spot, but most of their bats are super expensive too. So I'm not going to eat chalk, right, on Senga, on the most expensive pitcher on the slate for a guy who honestly wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if he ended up in the negative today. So, yeah, Senga, he's a fade for me. Listen, I'm not playing as many lineups as JT. If I was, I would mix Senga in there because I do think he's capable of a big game, more so than all these other pitchers, honestly. But I think he's just as likely to disappoint, honestly. And the Giants aren't the most talented lineup, but they are a lineup that, I don't know, I feel like they're prepared, right? They'll kind of know what's coming. I think they'll be more likely to be able to lay off his best pitch, which is his ghost fork, they call it, a split finger fastball. If teams aren't going to chase that, and I think the Giants have a good chance to kind of identify that and try to lay off it and have a good plan against him, things can go south for Senga in a hurry. Like, I think he could walk 5 or 6 guys here, get into trouble. I don't think he's going to go deep in this game. So he's a fade for me. I'll just go to the 2 pitchers that I do like, the 2 guys, JT, that you mentioned as kind of the cluster of the 3 highly owned guys. It's Matt Strom and it's Roansy Contreras. I don't really like either guy all that much. Strom has, for sure, question marks about how deep he'll go into this game. Wasn't really planning to be in the rotation to start the year. Injuries, kind of forced him in. He's been building up a little bit. Left the last game with I think a cut on his hand. I think he was going to go deeper into that game, a little bit deeper, if that didn't happen. So, yeah, I think you can expect probably 80, 85 pitches from Matt Strom. But, I mean, the Rockies outside of Coors Field, especially the first game out of Coors Field, it's just a premier matchup here for Strom. I'm honestly hoping for 10 to 15 fantasy points out of him. I think that's enough today on this particular slate. So I like Strom, I guess, relative to the rest of the pitchers, partly because he's cheap at 7K. And then Roansy Contreras, listen, I don't really have that much faith in this guy either. I don't think he's that great. He's not going to be a guy that I play often this year. But he's cheap, 6,400. He does get the full workload. He can throw 90 to 100 pitches. And he gets the Cincinnati Reds. We've seen some pretty bad pitchers put up pretty good games against this Reds team, which, I mean, they just don't have much punch in that offense whatsoever. I mean, who's their best hitter? Tyler Stevenson? It's like, this is just not a very good offensive team. So I think Contreras probably do enough to get there. I want to pay up for the big bats. Strom, Contreras. That's my favorite combination. But again, won't be shocked whatsoever if it goes south. It's just one of those days for pitching.
Okay. So, JT, you just listened to what DC had to say. By the way, I was reading the baseball chat. Thank you, DC, for reminding me it's 420. Things were going to happen anyways. So wonderful. Didn't even know that till today. JT, and I wasn't suspended, K. Gould. It was a joke, and I don't even know who brought it up. It's a very high chance I get suspended after the show. But JT pitching today. Where are we going? And do you have any? Can you give me a thought or two on FanDuel? Any thoughts? Who's your guy?
No, I'm not playing FanDuel. So
yeah, me neither. DC, any FanDuel?
DC just came in. He came in fourth in a single entry. He's got a thought.
I've got Contreras over there.
All right, good. All right, talk about DK, JT.
Yeah, so Strom, an inning and 2/3 his last start. He came out. It was maybe a blister, like DC said, maybe a cut. A lot of these other pitchers, you've got length issues. We've got that wind and rain issue in Chicago. Jamison Taillon got scratched. Now you're going to get Javier Assad and, of course, Michael Grove, right? So, yeah, up top, Senga and Minaya. I mean, Minaya, it's been a weird start to the season. They were piggybacking him. Then all of a sudden he came out. I think he went into the 7th inning in his last start. He looked absolutely dominant, but I don't think it was against a very good team. So I don't remember who it was exactly, but 9,900 for Minaya against the Mets. No one is. I mean, he's going to be 26% owned, and I don't love it, but I don't hate it on this slate because of all the question marks elsewhere. I think Senga at 10-3, yes, I am going to have some. I'm probably going to be under the field on him. He has some control issues, and the Giants have hitters in that lineup that can be patient. Yeah. Of course, that park is a pitcher's park, so that's a plus there. Strom is a risk. I think he's a risk worth taking because you're getting Colorado on the road, first game out of Coors. And, I mean, this team was just shut down in Coors by the likes of Rich Hill a couple of nights ago. So can Matt Strom go 5 innings and get you 15 to 20 fantasy points? Yeah, he can. I don't really have a sleeper here among these guys. Michael Wacha may be the closest to it, but he gets a good start to the season, then he gets absolutely lit up by the Brewers.
I feel like Wacha had his one great game already against the Braves. You remember that game, JT? I'm sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
a weird weather game here in Atlanta too. It was and Atlanta's been more of a pitcher's park, although this season there are fewer pitcher's parks than ever before. So yeah, for me, I think Strom Contreras seems to be the way that I'm leaning right now. And then mixing in Senga, mixing in a little bit of Minaya, and maybe a little bit of Michael Wacha, just because there's really not much else to choose from.
There isn't. And thank you for the breakdown. JT Hayes 15. JT Hayes 15% off your subscription in a monthly plan. Terrence, shut your mouth. It's not true. Also, what do we get when we sign up for Run Pure Sports? What do we get? We get wonderful things. First of all, you can hop in our Discord where so many beautiful minds are going back and forth. It's just terrific. Grinding dubs in DC. We're having a conversation about 420. That was great. DC also gives some of his best plays. K Fallick is in there, giving shitty plays, which end up shipping tournaments. It's absolutely amazing. Stevie Boynton, you get Big T, you get JSU, you get AP, you get all the big guns, all of them in the Discord. You get to talk with them. Plus, core plays, playbook. Don't worry about all that shit. Sign up. JT Hayes 15% off. Also, wow, title got old. That was pretty good, Mikey. Pretty good shot there, Mikey. Go back to sleeping with your daddy in bed. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be like button, 100 likes to get the plays of the day. Last time you pissed me off, last time I did a free show, you didn't get anything. You didn't get anything free. So 100 likes, I'll do it. Give them more likes than that. Anyways, let's move on. We're going game by game on the free show, aren't we? Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. DC? Ugh. Come on. We're not facing Contreras. We want to do anything against Weaver?
Yeah, like we said, we're on Contreras here, so I'm not going to Cincinnati. I will just say off the bat, I think you can reasonably stack literally any team tonight. There's no team that would shock me if it ended up being on the optimal, including the Reds, just because of the state of pitching on this particular slate. That being said, I'm not on the Reds here. I do like Contreras, obviously, given the price tag. Pittsburgh, I think, is a little bit sneaky, though. I don't think that many people will go to this team. Luke Weaver making his 2023 MLB debut hasn't really ever been good. Didn't look good in the minor leagues coming up. I think he's mostly starting here just out of necessity. The Reds don't have really many good pitchers. Yeah, Pirates, I mean, I know it's Coors Field. This team does look okay offensively. I mean, there's still a couple games over 500. We've seen Reynolds hit really well. McCutchen looks revitalized this year. I've been impressed with what I've seen from guys like Rodolfo Castro, Ji-Hwan Bae. So, yeah, I think the Pirates are kind of a sneaky stack here. Wouldn't be surprised if they do some damage. 81 degrees in Pittsburgh tonight as well. So, yeah, I do like the Pirates a little bit. And given, we got the Wrigley win game, we've got the Phillies in a great spot. I think people are going to go to the Padres, especially with the Tatis ownership, right? Most people are starting their lineup with Tatis tonight. And, that can lead to an increased ownership, I think, on the full-on stack too, right? So, yeah, I think Pittsburgh a good sneaky stack tonight.
No concern that they're coming out of Coors Field?
Not really. I mean,
okay.
I gotta find out if that's actually a real thing, the Coors Field hangover. Like,
yeah,
I know.
Listen, all I can tell you, the Rockies team total is 3.5. I don't give a shit that it's a bullpen game. That's almost an auto bet for me. I mean, these guys just went on the road. They scored 3, 2, and 1 run. Then they had a 3-game home set against the Pirates. They scored 3 runs every game. Now, as far as opponents go, we'll see, but it's definitely something different. JT, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh. I'm sitting here fishing around maybe for a catcher one-off, first base one-off, because I like my stack. Anything here that you would play in this game?
Yeah, I actually – so there are times when I'm a believer in those offenses coming out of Coors, right? It's usually when it's a bad offense that goes into Coors, has a couple of good days, and comes out. Think the Nationals, think maybe the Oakland A's this year. I don't think the Pirates are a bad offense. I think they've shown early this season they have some young players that are maturing. They have some veteran talent, if you could call it that, 3, 4, 5 years, like Reynolds, like Brian Hayes, as long as he stays healthy. I like the Pirates a good bit tonight. Talked about Luke Weaver shut down in the middle of spring training with a forearm issue. That's never good. He's basically being pressed into service here. I think this ends badly for him and the Reds. So I do like Pittsburgh here, and a bunch of these guys up and down the lineup. Like DC said, 82 degrees. It's a beautiful night in Pittsburgh. It's a beautiful night for hitting, particularly aiming at that right field porch.
Yeah. I'm not playing Austin Hedges in the 9 hole, but I think 1 through 8 are all decent plays for Pittsburgh, honestly.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting stuff. JT, I'm going to come right back at you here for Colorado and Philadelphia. I think we're going to get a lot of bullpen game here out of the Phillies. To me, it doesn't matter. The Rockies can't hit. On the other side of things, again, Frieda Felcher's on the mound for the Rockies. We love targeting this guy. And I know Philadelphia is expensive. Is it just all the ownership is going toward the win game? Because I don't see a team in a better spot than the Phillies tonight.
Phillies are in a good spot here. The pricing is fine, right? There's enough. Even if you don't play Fernando Tatis Jr., there's enough way. First of all, we're talking about pitching, and neither one of us, DC or myself, are really super high on the 10K guys. So if you're going to pair some of these cheaper guys, it's going to be easy to get the Phillies. I think they're fine here against Feltner. Feltner hasn't been good at all this season, no matter where he's pitched. There's no strikeouts in his arm. So I will have some of the Phillies here. And then the Rockies, like you said, I mean, they're a bad offense. They were a bad offense at home in Colorado, and I don't think it's going to improve on the road here. And at least with Strom, he's only 7K on DraftKings. So, maybe if you're playing, you want a FanDuel take. If you're playing FanDuel, I think he's riskier there because you know that you're almost definitely not going to get that 6 innings. But I think on DraftKings at 7K, he's probably in the mix here for points per dollar, top of the board.
Ooh. All right, so that was game number 2, Colorado, Philadelphia. Like button would be great. Not asking too much today. Just get to 100. We'll get your plays, okay? It'll be a very happy day for all of us. DC, I'll come back to you first. Dodgers and Cubs. We got wind. It's a win game. Everybody loves a good win game there in Chicago at Wrigley. How we get a little different if we want to play this game?
Well, I did want to talk about Phillies and Rockies since you didn't give me the opportunity, Holden. So.
I just figured it was a shit game and you didn't want to bother, so we'd move on to the next one.
Phillies, I think, are my favorite stack on the whole slate. So I did need to go back and mention that. Feltner just absolutely sucks. I mean, It doesn't even matter if he's out of Coors Field. And I think this Phillies team, they've faced some pretty good pitching early on, but I've really been impressed with what I've seen. Brandon Marsh and Bryson Stott in particular look like they could be in the middle of breakout seasons. You got Kyle Schwarber in the middle there, and obviously those guys surround good hitters like Turner, Castellanos, Real Muto. I think the Phillies are going to do some damage against this Rockies team. Rockies team also burned through their bullpen, getting beat up by Pittsburgh all series. So, very high on the Phillies. Moving to the Cubs and the Dodgers. Forecast right now is 65, 70 degrees, humidity, and 20-mile-per-hour winds out to center field. It's a Wrigley win game. It's, if you've been playing DFS for any period of time, MLB DFS for any period of time, these games can absolutely erupt. There is a storm scheduled to move through the area, I think in the next hour or two. I know a lot of people in the chat are asking about the danger of playing this game because it is the game with the highest total on the slate. If the weather forecast holds like we expect it to, fly balls are going to turn into home runs like crazy here. And it's two bad pitchers on the mound. Jameson Taillon got scratched. Not that he was, not that he's great anyway. I was on the Dodgers kind of anyway, but now they're going to start Javier Assad. I'm not really impressed by the Cubs bullpen arms behind him. I know the Cubs bullpen numbers so far this year look pretty good, but not really buying it, to be honest. I like both offenses in this game. In terms of risk, I know our favorite weatherman, Mr. Kevin Roth, put a warning on it, but I'm looking at the radar now. If they started on time, there could be a brief delay when the storm moves through. I personally think there's almost no chance this game doesn't get played in full. I'll give the DC green light for those asking. I think this game is very, very likely to play. And, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm really not worried about a postponement whatsoever here. I would proceed to play this game exactly like you would if there was no rain issue whatsoever. That's just my personal take on it. So, give me all the power here. I'm on both sides of the ball. I think it's a great game to target for offense.
Okay, wonderful. I believe it's your turn, JT, to talk about the Phillies. Is that true?
I've spoken about the Phillies. Thank you.
It's great to hear.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next wonderful game. JT.
I would like to talk about the Cubs and the Dodgers.
Well, that's what I meant. I meant to say the Cubs and the Dodgers. You know what? I'm just trying to build the line up here, JT.
We have missed you, just so you know.
Sure you have.
Speak for yourself, JT.
It's always good to get the official DC endorsement on a game. So,
you know what I need to do, JT? This is my fault because I went to you first instead. I just need to stay with the same person. It's too
confusing for you, right?
Confusing for me.
Yeah.
No, so let's just go back there. Let's just start all over again. The Dodgers and the Cubs.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, so DC thinks it's pretty good. I am seeing a tornado watch until 8 p.m. in Chicago. So, they have these watches, but it's probably not for the stadium. So whatever.
Tornado.
As long as there isn't a tornado, I think the game is going to play. That's sort of the way it goes. But it's a great spot. Look, I was at Wrigley a couple of weeks ago in the first win game of the season, the Cubs and the Mariners, 23 runs in that game. It's a little bit cooler, but it's a little bit more humid and with a little bit stronger wind out to center. And you've got Javier Assad and Michael Grove on the mound. So this Cubs offense has looked really, really good to start the season. The Dodgers is suffering a little bit, obviously. No Mookie Betts in the lineup tonight, but David Peralta looks like he might be coming around a little bit. JD Martinez starting off the year pretty well. And, of course, you've got Muncy and Freeman. So great game stack here. I think if you're concerned about the risk, what you can do is just focus on stacks and not have these guys in your pool as one-off or two-offs. I personally will have some 1 and 2 offs of this game because, like DC, I think this game plays. I think to the extent this year, weather's going to be a little different because, again, with the balanced schedule, teams are only going into places one time max for the most part. We know that that's the case anyway. Dodgers, Cubs. So I'm on the game, not on the pitchers. Definitely a spot that I want to attack here.
Okay. Now, JT, I'm going to go back to DC here so I know what's going on with the show. Okay.
Yes.
Before we do that, hit the like button. What do we got to get to? 100? Come on. That's not. Oh, we're already there. So you already get the plays of the day. Since I'm so nice, just keep hitting that. Second of all, JT Hayes 15% off your monthly subscription. You'll get all JT's course. You'll get all of DC's course. I mean, he's going to give you a play of the day, but the best part about this is that DC gives you both pitchers. Like, what do you get? 5 position players? So you get all that. Then you get to talk to him in the Discord. I mean, it's just wonderful. What could be better than talking baseball with DC all day in the Discord? So just sign up. JT Hayes 15. If you haven't already done it, I don't know what you're waiting for. Whatever. Just keep losing. Whatever, dude. Next game to get to would be San Diego and Arizona. It's time to talk about Tatis, my man. DC, it's interesting because first I said I don't want to play a 75% Tatis, right? What are you laughing about? What did I do now? What I do now?
Just you're in shambles. You're in shambles. You've been on the beach for a little while, and this is you
probably needed shambles. I'm fine.
You probably needed a dry run. You're like a terrorist hijacking a plane.
Usually they keep me behind a paywall. They know I'm such a freaking disaster, but don't worry about it.
Yeah. Keep going.
I'm trying. Thanks, Chief. I'm trying to figure out what to do with Tatis here at 2K. All right, he saves me a ton of money, but I'd rather play with Trey Turner, so screw it. I'm not playing Tatis. Why are you playing Tatis? And unmute your mic, you son of a bitch. All right, DC, talk to me.
I'll just give the facts about Fernando Tatis Jr. He's 2K on DraftKings. He's going to be 60 to 70% owned. He, I think, should be one of the very highest projected players on the slate in terms of fantasy production. He's played 8 games in AAA, kind of getting ready for this, to get off suspension. Mm-hmm. He's hitting .515 with 7 dongs in his 8 games in AAA. I know that's just AAA, but I've got a feeling Tatis is going to come out of the gate on fire. So, listen, those are the facts, the numbers. Everyone's got to make their decision on whether they want to play Tatis or not. I personally am going to play him. I think you can use the salary savings on some of the big bats today. If you couldn't, right? If I could make, like, if I was including Tatis and couldn't spend the salary the way I wanted to, then I think a better case could be made for the fade. I personally will be playing Tatis tonight on FanDuel too. He's the most expensive player on FanDuel, by the way. But I have that much, I just think he's one of the very best plays on the slate, regardless of salary. So anyway, that's that. Other players in this game, I do like the Padres some here against Ryan Nelson, who I actually don't think we didn't really mention him at pitching. I don't think he's the craziest player in the world. He does have some talent, but man, the market, Vegas really loves the Padres here. Really high team total. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked. I know this is narrative street. If the return of Tatis kind of revitalizes this Padres team a little bit, we get this team getting hot to get their superstar back. It happens. These players are humans too, and I'm sure they're excited to get Tatis back in the lineup leading off. So, yeah, I'm in on the Padres, Tatis, Soto. Machado. The top of the lineup is as good as it gets, honestly, in baseball with Tatis in there. So I do like the Padres. You can go to the Diamondbacks too, though, honestly. Michael Wacha is not really a pitcher to fear, I don't think. And I like this offense. Rojas, Carroll, McCarthy, Gabriel Moreno, I think, is the best value catcher on the board at 2,400. So, yeah, give me all the offense in this game. I think we'll see some fireworks in Arizona. Okay.
JT, that would be your turn.
Right. Yes.
Do you know what game we're talking about right now?
I do. The Padres and Diamondbacks.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's amazing. The Padres spent like $500 million in the offseason, and yet they still have to give Matt Carpenter meaningful at-bats. It's a very interesting situation there. But the way I'm handling Tatis is I'm going to have him in stacks of the Padres, which I will have several. And without stacks, I'm going to limit him way down so that my lineups can be different. That's kind of, I think, the way you should handle it if you're multi-entering. I like the Padres here a little bit. They haven't been clicking on all cylinders. Maybe Tatis, gives them a little bit of a jolt. But maybe also you have a situation where these guys are kind of just tired of hearing about Tatis, and it's not the jolt that we might think it's going to be, but we'll see. So like DC said, the market's all over this team. They are all over the offense here tonight and not really high on either pitcher. I mean, the K prop for Michael Wacha is 3.5. So that's usually not a very good sign when you're talking about a pitcher that's almost 9K on these sites. So don't love either pitcher. I think to DC's point, Arizona's offense has looked very, very good to start the season as well. So they're definitely in the mix. Probably more minis for me on the Arizona side.
Okay. Like button would be great. We'd appreciate it. It's our last game we're going to get to. Then we'll get to the plays of the day. No Marte in the lineup here for the Mets today. So keep that in mind. Now we got the Mets and the Giants. Is this kind of a game that'll be forgotten because it's the late night game in San Francisco? DC
ownership projections suggest it will. Yeah,
that was for DC, but fine. If you want to cut him off, that's fine. JT. I mean, I would be upset if I was DC, but I can't speak for him.
JT doesn't want to be confused with me. That's that. We'll leave it at that. I will say, like you said, this game will be forgotten in terms of hitters. We know Senga going to be probably the most popular pitcher on the slate, or one of them. I think Manaea will have some ownership too. Manaea is a guy that I'm kind of confused about. Switch teams from the Padres to the Giants in the offseason. Velocity is way up, 3 to 4 miles per hour on the fastball, and his pitches across the board. That usually is something that leads a pitcher to have, much better results. Hasn't looked great so far. It's early, obviously a small sample size, but I don't love this matchup against the Mets. Manaea was a guy I was kind of, hoping to, when I dug into him, hoping to like him more than I ended up liking him once I dug in a little bit more. So if I was playing a lot of lineups, I would have, for sure, some Sean Manaea. Playing 3, I'm not going to get there myself, but I do think he is a little bit of a wild card and is capable, I think, of a big game with the increased velocity. I do think the Giants side of this game, though, is really interesting for stacks if you're trying to get off the board. We're talking about Kodai Senga. We know he's going to be popular, but, I mean, I think he's capable of just absolutely blowing up and walking everybody and having a 2-inning start, right, where he has like 6 walks and gives up 5 runs and maybe a big home run in there somewhere. This Giants team does have power. Nobody's going to play them. I think they have the second lowest team total on the slate. But we've seen the Giants have a few big games, even in San Francisco, which obviously is a pitcher's park in general, but looks like the conditions there are pretty decent for hitting tonight. So I think the Giants are sneaky. I'm not playing too many lineups tonight, so I'm probably not going to get there myself. But if you are, I would include stacks here. I think I would stack them up, the Giants, because I think Senga's, if he's bad, I think it's going to be base runners, not necessarily home runs. So I do like the stack better than the one-offs for the Giants. But yeah, I do think they're sneaky. I like the Giants stack better than the Mets. I do like Pete Alonso, though, in particular, as a really good one-off against Sean. Wouldn't be surprised to see him nuke one into left field seats.
You take one. Would you take Alonso over Freeman? $300 more on DK. Can't do that.
No, but Freeman's going to be 35% owned, and Alonso is going to be, I don't know, 5.
Woo.
Something like that. Yeah.
All right. JT, talk to me here. Little nightcap for the Giants and the Mets.
Yeah. I don't really love either offense here. I think, DC's point is valid in terms of Senga being tied for the highest ownership on the slate. It's always worth throwing a couple of stacks against those guys. I don't know what to make of him yet. And Manaea, the game he pitched well, 6 innings, 6 1/3 against Kansas City, came right back against Detroit, got into a little bit of trouble, and he got pulled right away. So this is not someone I'm going to have a lot of after taking another look at it, just because 10K, you got a guy who he may pitch 6 innings and do very well. He may pitch 3 1/3 and get you like 10 points. So definitely a risk there with Manaea. I'm not in love with it. I think, from a standpoint of ownership, yeah, this is going to be the lowest owned spot on both sides of the night. And these power righties for the Mets, obviously Marte gives you one less, but Mark Canha has hit the ball pretty well early on in the season here. So he and Alonso for maybe a little 2-man stack.
DK is saying that Tatis is out. Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
He is still listed as out on both.
Yeah. Until the lineup comes out. Yeah.
He's gonna play.
Title just hit me back, says he'll do the premium show. Title, I mean, we'll both do it then. I had stuff getting canceled. Anyways, like button, you already hit it for the plays. That's great. Let me figure out here. Let's do an Eiffel Tower thing, right?
Yeah.
Is there music to it? I'll just do the music. All right, what's the Eiffel Tower play of the day?
Yeah, that's beautiful. A lot of good hitting spots here, but let's go to Pittsburgh and a guy that I really like. I think he's going to have a pretty significant bust-out season here. Give me Big Jack Sawinski, 2,900.
Ooh, a couple of home runs the other day. That was nice. Let me get the DC's Mom's Basement player of the day. Do you want me to do a little rap for you? The Fat Boys are back. All right, there you go. There's your
it's a thought party.
There you go.
I don't even know what the fuck that was, but
that was the Fat Boys circa 1984 or so. Yeah.
Okay. Title really did age. Give me Brandon Marsh for the Phillies. Taking Ryan Feltner deep.
Brandon Mosh and Freda Felcher. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Contreras tonight. So that'll be my play. Wonderful. You don't get a song for that. I don't give a shit. Anything else you'd like to say, boys, before we get out of here? JT Hayes 15. I know it's 8 minutes after the top of the hour. I don't know how you're gonna get your lineups in. JT.
Who was your play of the day?
I'm gonna go with Contreras, the pitcher.
The pitcher. Okay.
Rose Z.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate that. See, everybody likes my music. It's all I can tell you. So you know what happens next? Do you?